All right, folks, how's it going? My name's Tyler. I'm your safari driver out there in the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. How you guys doing today? All right, so that's a pretty good place to be. We're going to try to raise that bar a little bit by the end of the safari because we are going out to see some wild animals. We're actually heading right in the reserve. Speed round, 2 rules you guys need to listen to. Stay seated the entire time. If you have little ones, they need to be seated on your lap or on the bench next to you. Don't hoist them up, don't dangle them outside of the truck to get them closer to the animals. You laugh, but there's a reason we have to say these things. Do not lean outside of the truck. You notice I drive extremely close to some rough brush, so go ahead and stay inside the truck the whole time. This is the Little Itsiri Forest, very densely packed. Okay, look to your back right, past that bamboo. You can see the white and black striped legs of that animal that doesn't have a head. It doesn't have a head, it's just tucked behind. So that is the okapi. Those white and black striped legs are the trademark of what animal, though?
Zebra.
The zebra. That is absolutely correct, but that's where it gets so deceptive because that animal's only living relative is going to be the giraffe. So very, very peculiar animal. But the okapi wasn't discovered until 1901 by the Western world, so it's very elusive. To this day, we don't know how many of those animals live out in the wild because we cannot find them to count them. As we're coming around, keep your eyes out to the left alongside the cliffs, to the right on the top of the hills, stuff like that. That's where a lot of these animals like to blend in. Not too much over on the left. Oh, there's actually a rhino staring right at us over there. Laying down in between the dirt and the cliff there. So if you look at that upper lip, not the best view, but as it's coming towards us, you see how it kind of dangles down over the bottom lip? Just a little bit. You can see how it kind of comes and then dangles, droops a little bit at the front. If you see it from the side, it's a much better view. But that is a black rhino, and they can run at 3,000 pounds. They are 3,000 pounds. Sorry, that was gibberish. They weigh 3,000 pounds. They can charge at 35 miles an hour. So still very impressive, but not nearly 3,000. So it's kind of like a small SUV coming at you at 35 miles an hour. On the left, look at the top of the hillside. Those are greater kudu. They're tan or brown with white stripes all over their body. You notice how they don't have antlers. That's because those are female greater kudu. Only male greater kudu have antlers. Those are antelope. They're in the antelope family. You'll notice there's quite a few antelope on the reserve. They come in all different shapes and sizes though, so you gotta keep your eyes out. As soon as I find some, I will kind of compare and contrast them because each one has a pretty unique natural attribute that distincts them from all of the other. All right, as we're coming through, this is the Safi River, much more aquatic in nature, hence the name river. So keep your eyes out for anything that may be breaking the surface or just underneath. Yeah, the water's pretty calm on the right, so probably not going to be too much anything. Although Nile hippos can hold their breath for 8 minutes at a time, and that's what we're looking for coming through here. So there could be something underneath that is hanging out pretty low. Oh, look over to the left. There's a Nile hippo extremely close to us there. Very, very cool. It is facing away from us, but you can see those tiny little ears over on the right. So Nile hippos weigh around 5,500 pounds. They're extremely fat, but they're very densely packed with that fat. So that hippo is actually half the size of that rhino we saw, but almost twice the weight. You can see those ducks moving around. But those are pink-backed pelicans. The pelicans hanging out on the island with white feathers and the gray wings. They get one stripe of pink in between their wings. There's actually some directly down to the left. If you look in the water, they're moving around, scooting pretty fast through the water. They get one stripe of pink in the middle of their wings to signify they are ready for mating season to mate with the other pelicans. They hang out in flocks of 30, all the way up to 500. So you may see a few, you may see a whole lot more. Oh, there's a hippo on the other side of the guardrail. You can just barely see it. You can see all that water moving around, all the air bubbles and stuff like that. There is a hippo just on the other side of that greenery. Unfortunately, the shrubbery was blocking it. Oh yeah, look over to your left. You can see Nile crocodiles. Look at the one in the island. Look how long it is, and then the tail actually curls around again. Extremely long, extremely heavy predators. They can grow up to 20 feet in length, around 1,500 pounds. So they're extremely large, and they're extremely deadly too. They're very good predators. They're known to take on animals much larger than themselves, such as wildebeests or even zebras. So something that not everyone knows about the Nile crocodiles, they can run on land at 10 miles an hour. Now a lot of people get pretty cocky and they go, oh, I can outrun that. At no point during this safari will we ever outrun a Nile crocodile. Just to give you some reference. The truck tops out at 8 miles an hour. Going down a hill, I can get it up to about 10. So we'll match the speed, but we would never escape it, which is a little terrifying.
Thank you.
Over there on the right, we are checking out a tree. That is the baobab tree. Not quite as unique as the Nile crocodile, not quite as deadly either. It actually holds hundreds of gallons of water in that large base there. And it does look like it has its roots sticking up into the sky, but those are just its tiny little branches. It goes 9 months out of the year without any leaves or flowers on it. Now, we do know something about elephants out in the wild in particular. They are extremely intelligent. They have good memory and cause and effect based relationships. So somehow, I'm guessing on accident, they figured out that the baobab tree back there has water in the base, and so now they actively puncture the base with their tusks and start drinking the water during the dry season. Oh, you can see there's a giraffe galloping way over there. Yeah, it looks like they're sticking out some of that greenery on the trees and the buckets there. Very cool. So that's going to start bringing the giraffes closer to us. You see that one way back there is a little bit younger. Not quite a baby, but it is very young. When baby giraffes are born, they're born at 6 feet tall. So they're still taller than the average human at birth. Our pathway does reconnect over there, and we'll get a much better view without those trees in our way and those giraffes. So we'll come back to those guys in just a second. If you look at the treetops, they're all kind of trimmed off to the same height. That's right around where giraffes can reach. Oh, look over to your left. On top of that cliffside there, there's 2 hyena. So in particular, what kind of hyena is that? Looking at its pelts. Anyone know? It's got spots. You think what? What kind of hyena? Yeah. Based on the spots, it's a spotted hyena. It's not that difficult. We were overthinking it way too much. A lot of the animals are visually based, their naming system. Like over here on the left, those are antelope and they're sable in color, so their name is sable antelope. They have those long curved back antlers that go all the way back to their hind legs. One's kind of staring at us right now with that long flat face. That's actually the poster animal for the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, for this reserve right here. On the left, there's 4 giraffe kind of spread out over there. Some up in the treetops, some a little bit closer. So they're about 20 feet tall, fully grown. Now we notice every single giraffe we see is either eating or chewing. That's because giraffes spend 20 hours a day doing nothing but eating. They eat all day long. So when they eat all day long, it doesn't give them much time to do anything else like sleep. So they only sleep for 30 minutes a day. They do something called micro napping, where they sleep 10 to 30 seconds at a time, and they spread it out throughout their entire day. So you can see this is the better view I was talking about, this one right over here on the right. So that one is pretty close to actually being full grown. That one's probably close to 15 feet tall. So that tree is going to be blocking us from getting a good view of that one, but we can see these 2 off in the distance. And then towards the far back right, you can see that one again, a little bit there. Kind of further off, but you can see that one on the right of the 2 there. That's going to be the full grown one, 20 feet tall. Now I did point out the tree line. That is naturally cut off by the giraffe. They eat everything and anything. That's why you don't see anything below a certain height. That was not done by us. What we did do though is wrap them in that chain mail, and that's to protect the trees, because giraffes are ruthless killers. They rip off tree barks of trees once it runs out of foliage for them to eat, and then they actually kill the trees, and then they move on. Yeah, over here to the right, you can see the gray animals with the horns that come up and point at themselves. Those are wildebeests. The reddish and white colored animals, those are Ankoli cattle. They are another breed of cow. They're in the tall grass there, but you can see their horns stick up for about 5 to 6 feet on each side. So they are very, very hard to miss. Now, if you look at the wildebeest there, look at those long white beard hairs on their bottom jaw. That's where they got their name. Those are the white-bearded wildebeest. Those wildebeest migrate about 500 to 1,000 miles all the way across the continent of Africa, and they do it in herds of about 1.5 million. So they tend to blot out the entire landscape for miles on end. Oh, something I forgot to point out about the crocodiles, one of my favorite animals. The giraffes, we all saw how tall they were. If you were to stand a Nile crocodile on the tip of its tail, it would be the same exact height of a giraffe. Both respectively 20 feet tall. A little bit further, I'm not seeing anything moving off to the right. Keep your eyes open. There could be something back behind that large group of shrubbery. Oh, look over on your left. Right in the middle over the cliff. It's walking out of our view. There's a mandrill. It's a monkey. Its face, you can see the face, the red and the blue and the pink. It just walked behind that palm, but maybe we'll get another good view on the other side of that rock. Oh, yeah. There's a female right there. And it's gone. There's another female walking again. So they're going to be walking off to the right. The two females there. Those are mandrill monkeys. They're commonly mistaken for baboons, especially the males. Oh, there's an elephant right off to your right. Way out there. Absolutely massive African elephant. Close to 14,000 pounds. We will hopefully get a good view. I'm not too sure though because there is greenery that cuts it off. But yeah, you can see if you're in the front, we're going to stop here for a second so you can get a good view of those huge floppy ears, and then I'm going to move forward. What I want you guys to do, when you can get a good view of the elephant, raise your hand for me. Okay, and how's that? Is that okay for you guys in the back? No. Well, yeah, in the front, because we saw it at first. But I want to make sure everyone gets at least a little bit of a view of that elephant, because it is really far out there, and that tree line kind of cut that view off from us. We might be able to see it again as we come over the bridge. Look over to the right, there's a clearing in between the cliffs. Depending on how far back it was exactly, we might be able to see it. Oh yeah, right over there on the right. Won't be able to stop on the bridge, but you can see it again as we're coming over. Absolutely massive mammal. Like I said, 14,000 pounds full grown. So looking around in that area, that was the only one we saw. So that leads us to believe that that was a male elephant. And real quick, I want to point something out. And this is how fast a Nile crocodile runs. I like to reinforce that. When I first started telling people about that, they would get really cocky about it. They would kind of play it down, and I don't think people realize that that's actually extremely quick, especially at a sustained speed. But the male elephant tends to hang out by itself because they get extremely aggressive or rambunctious as they reach maturity. So they don't hang out near other elephants, but they hang out, they don't hang out in packs or close to the packs, but they hang out probably a couple miles away from the pack. So if you see a male elephant, there's usually going to be a larger pack of females with the younger elephants somewhere in the area. And that's what we have the opportunity of seeing now, given that that was a male elephant. Oh yeah, look over to your left, way out there. To the left of the rocks and to the right of the rocks as well, down by the watering hole. We're going to cut down there pretty quick. We're hopefully going to get a very good view of these elephants. They're going to be on the left side of the truck as we come around. You can all the way from over here see those huge tusks sticking out. So those tusks are made out of ivory, very strong, sturdy material. That is one of the largest reasons why elephants are endangered today, is because they're poached or illegally hunted for those tusks. See a little bit of a younger one there. Oh, there's actually a baby in the middle of all of them. Kind of hanging back behind the legs there. Very, very cool look at the pack. So they're surrounding the baby right now, and those are just the natural instincts of the elephants kicking in. Obviously, they do that to protect the elephant from any predators that may be in the area. We know there aren't going to be any predators on the reserve, but that is their wild and natural instincts kicking in there. Very cool to see. On the left, these are the greater flamingos. They're the tallest and also the lightest shade of pink. If you guys take a deep breath right now, you get a nice, good smell of those flamingos. Yeah. So these gray flamingos, they look kind of odd. That's because those are babies. They're about 5 to 6 months old. If you look at the one all the way to the right, the furthest brown and gray one, it's actually starting to get its pink feathers underneath the wings. So that flamingo is hitting maturity. It's going from a baby to a full-grown one. And then another good view of those elephants off to the left, still surrounding that baby. You can see they're all kind of butt to baby there. So they have a 360 circle of elephants there protecting the baby. Oh, there's a zebra, straight ahead. As we come around, it'll be on the left side of the truck. Oh, there's 3 zebras in total, off to the left. Something pretty cool about zebras that not everyone knows, their stripe pattern is kind of like human fingerprints. They are unique to each and every zebra. They look the same from a distance, but there is some type of change or deviation somewhere on that zebra's skin that will make it unique. So no zebra will ever match up with any other zebra in the world. They're also extremely aggressive and very, very territorial. I think they rank number 2 or 3 on the list of most territorial. Hippos are number 1. That hippo we saw back there, they are extremely aggressive and they will attack you for you just being in the area. But they do look very docile. That's what most people equate them to, as docile or calm horses. There's actually a rhino jogging directly in front of us here. So that rhino's nowhere near running. It is just jogging. That's actually very slow for a rhino to be moving. Very, very cool view of that rhino. That was pretty cool to see it jogging over here. So yeah, that was a very, very light jog. I want to reinforce that because they can clock in at 35 miles an hour. But that rhino, that was a white rhino. If you saw its upper lip, it was flat. So that rhino weighed 5,000 pounds. That's about a small SUV coming at you. Oh yeah, there's a cheetah over there on the left. Look to the middle of the hill. Oh, to the left of the hill as well. There's 2 cheetah moving out there. Walking up a little bit. That long, sturdy tail with the black and white on the end. So that tail is very sturdy, and that's what they use as a directional rotor to turn them on a dime when they're running. There's one walking up against the backside of that hill there.
Okay, we could go now.
Stepping over that greenery. So, cheetahs are the fastest land animal in the world. Now, I did say land animal, and I said that for a reason, because there are a few birds that can dive at a quicker speed than a cheetah can run. But we know that's cheating because they're using gravity. But it's still very impressive because the cheetahs can run at 70 miles an hour. So they're absolutely incredibly fast. They are part of the big cat family, but they're very unique for being a part of that family. They're the only big cats that do their hunting during the day. They're also the only big cats that have claws that don't retract. All of the big cats, their claws come in and out. Oh, on the left, there's 3 lions and then a water bog. Kind of teasing the lion there. So we're going to get a very good view of all 4 of those animals in one shot here. And you see the 2 females in the water box standing there with the one white ring on its butt. So that is an antelope. It is related to the greater kudu. The first antelope that we saw, imagine those animals with hair. That's exactly what they look like here. It's staring at me a little bit.
Oh, how cute.
Then a very good view at that female and the male lion there.
Oh, wow. Looks like us, honey.
So they are nocturnal animals, lions. That's why they're asleep right now. They're not going to be too active until the sun starts to set a little more. It is getting a little bit later in the day. I think it's like close to 4 or 5. I have no idea. But that's why they're asleep. Out in the wild, once they do get a little bit more active, the female actually goes out and does the majority, if not all of the hunting. The female lion plays the role of the provider. Look on the left. There's quite a few warthogs, some babies. So there's 4 babies and then 1 full grown. Those babies are going to kind of run in a second. Check out those babies. They're getting a little bit of a jog going down there, jumping off the rocks. Very, very cool. Let's zoom in. Yeah, so that's a very good view of those warthogs. They can clock in at 30 miles an hour. So obviously still not even close to their top speed. So these are 2 more waterbach over here. Something pretty cool about the waterbach. They got their name, the waterbach. Bach is usually what accompanies any animal that is a antelope, like the springbok is out there. But the waterbach got their name because they drink an abnormally large amount of water through their lifetime. They need water daily. Most antelope don't need water too often. So they actually live near a water source. They're very sedentary animals. That means they don't migrate. As soon as they find somewhere that has a large amount of water, they stay there. And that's actually worked its way into their natural defense. So if there's a predator in the area, the waterbach immediately go into the water. As soon as their fur gets wet, it starts to secrete a sticky substance that smells extremely bad, and that makes the predators think that the waterbach's meat might be rotten, so it deters them from eating them. There you go, natural defense. Oh, directly ahead of us, you can see on top of the hillside on the left as we swing around. These are scimitar horned oryx. Look at those antlers. They come all the way back. Those are the longest antlers you're going to find on any of the antelope. They are antelope. They're in the same family. They do remind us of goats, though, just because of their color and their pattern there. They have brown on their head and then white around the rest of their body. On the right, these are yellow-billed stork. Again, stork with yellow bill. There's that naming system. They're about 2 feet tall with a wingspan of up to 5 feet. You notice they do look like statues. They don't move around too often. That's what makes them such good predators out in the wild. They stick their beaks into the shoreline of the water, and they wait for an animal or a fish to swim in between, and then they snap it shut, they swallow it whole. So these antelope here on the left are the most unique out of any antelope that live on the reserve. They can go 9 months without any drinking water, because they live in the Sahara or the desert naturally. So, things we know about the desert: it's hot, it's dry, not a lot of water. So, instead of moving somewhere else and surviving in a much more hospitable climate, they have adapted to survive in that area by getting all the water they need from the moisture and the plant life all around them. So they turn their food source into also their water source. Pretty cool natural adaptation just to survive in those wild lands and that harsh climate. That is pretty much going to wrap up our safari for today. Those are all the animals that we saw out there on the reserve. We did get a very good view of those lions. Even though they weren't too active, we got to see them up close and personal with that water bot kind of teasing them there. And also that rhino. Very cool to see it kind of hit that light jog. I've only ever seen a rhino charge twice. So it's very cool to see. Very rare thing to see it kind of jogging a little bit. Don't exactly know what it was going for, honestly, because it just kind of stopped once it got to us. So I hope you guys did enjoy your safari. If you did, feel free to come back and take another one. Each and every safari is going to be different in quite a few ways, just because they are wild animals, so they're going to be in different spots. They're going to be doing different things every single time. Even if you get me as your driver, it's going to be different because they're wild animals. I can tell you where they might be. I can't tell you where they are. I can tell you what they might be doing. I can't tell you what they're doing.